Good morning. I want to welcome everybody who's in attendance. Thank you for coming. This is John Jones, Chairman of the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority. This meeting is being conducted pursuant to the notice provisions of the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act, with all participating authority members attending in person. While this meeting is open and public, the Open Meeting Act does not require a public body to take public comment. Like most other state boards, public comment is not a regular item on the OTA's monthly agenda. This is OTA's longstanding historical practice. The OTA has made rare exceptions to this practice, like at the January 3rd, 2023 authority meeting, the most recent exception, where public comment was taken during a meeting to ensure the public had an opportunity to present viewpoints on critical issues where other public engagement meetings weren't available, and it was necessary for the board's full consideration of items of business presented for approval. OTA board meetings are designed to conduct the state's business, while we have other opportunities where the public and OTA officials, including board members, can open a discussion on important matters. It is important to know that every member of the board and the OTA executive staff want to have a meaningful dialogue with the leaders and people of Oklahoma. In fact, many at the OTA regularly participate in public engagements, presentations, and speeches, which creates opportunities for the kind of meaningful conversations that benefit all Oklahomans. Such an opportunity does not exist during public comments at a board meeting because of the rules associated with the Open Meeting Act. While the OTA does not intend to change its longstanding historical practice regarding public comment, the OTA does openly welcome the views of all citizens through the many avenues that are available for the public to communicate with OTA staff and the board, including email, phone calls, and submitting information to the board via OTA staff. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded for remote viewing. The time is 10:04 a.m. and I'm calling the August 1st, 2023 regular meeting of the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority meeting to order. Jenny, please call the roll.
Mr. Will Berry.
Here.
Mr. Todd Cohn.
Here.
Mr. Gene Love.
Here.
Mr. John Titsworth.
Here.
Ms. Dana Weber.
Here.
Mr. John Jones.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I asked for a motion to approve the minutes for the regular meeting of July 11th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
And we have a second. Thanks, Mr. Love. Jenny, please call the vote.
Mr. Berry.
Yes.
Mr. Cohn.
Abstain.
Mr. Love.
Yes.
Mr. Titsworth.
Yes.
Ms. Weber.
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes. Concerning the items of business, the first items of business are related to finance items. Mr. Todd Cohn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Items 1095 and 1096, Ms. Biswell, would you mind taking those up together? They're kind of related.
Good morning, Chairman Jones, members of the authority, Secretary Gatz. A little bit of background first. The services for agenda items 1095 and 1096 are the same service. The current contract for out-of-state registered owner lookup services expires in January of 2024. Therefore, the OTA issued a request for proposal for the out-of-state registered owner lookup services. We received 2 responses to this RFP. One was from our current vendor, which is Law Enforcement Systems, LES, and the second is from Conduent. LES and Conduent had different solutions to obtain the information, and this results in a higher return by each different state. So with 2 providers, the OTA will send specific states to each vendor that will yield the highest return. Item 1095, submitted for consideration and approval of the authority, is an item to authorize the director to negotiate and execute an agreement between Law Enforcement Systems, LLC, and the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority. This agreement is for out-of-state motor vehicle registered owner lookup services. The initial term of this agreement shall be 3 years. The contract also includes the option for 1 3-year extension. OTA shall compensate Law Enforcement Systems for services as follows. A scaled cost for out-of-state motor vehicle registered owner lookup services ranging from 64 cents to 99 cents per owner record returned, and additional services if any, at an hourly rate of $250. I would like to note that since Law Enforcement Systems is our current provider, there is no mobilization and integration. Item 1096, submitted for consideration and approval of the authority, is an item to authorize the director to negotiate and execute an agreement between Conduent State and Local Solutions Incorporated and the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority. This agreement is for out-of-state motor vehicle registered owner lookup services. The initial term of this agreement shall be 3 years. The contract also includes the option for 1 3-year extension. OTA shall compensate Conduent for services as follows: mobilization and integration in an amount not to exceed $157,225, a scale cost for out-of-state motor vehicle registered owner lookup services ranging from 53 cents to $1.55 per owner record returned, and additional services, if any, at an hourly rate of $140. I would be happy to address any questions that you may have.
Well, I appreciate your efforts to maximize the return, and by using both vendors, you're doing that from state to state. Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I would move for approval of item number 1095 as presented.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Ms. Weber. Jenny, please call the vote.
Mr. Berry?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Love?
Yes.
Mr. Titsworth?
Yeah.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
And, Mr. Chairman, also the item number 1096, same thing, based upon the recommendation of the staff, I would move for approval of 1096 as presented.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Mr. Love. Jenny, please call the vote.
Mr. Berry?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Love?
Yes.
Mr. Titsworth?
Yeah.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Biswell. Next is item number 1097, Nandy Taggart.
Good morning, Chairman Jones, members of the authority. Today I present item 1097. Submitted for consideration and approval of the authority is a request to authorize a 6-month extension to the existing tag fulfillment contract with the Oklahoma Direct and to increase the not-to-exceed amount previously approved. This contract was authorized pursuant to board approval of agenda item 487, August 28th, 2018. This contract was authorized, at an amount not to exceed $675,000. Board approval, agenda item 1051 on April 4th, 2023, revised the contract not to exceed amount of $735,000 due to higher than anticipated conversion of plate pay customers to Pike Pass customers. Oklahoma Direct will process approximately 259,605 transponder mailouts during the extended term end March 9th, 2024. The total anticipated financial impact of this extension is an estimated cost of $125,000, making an extended contract not to exceed $860,000. Staff has reviewed, and we recommend approval of this agenda item.
This appears to be a great problem. We have too many people switching to our Pike Pass.
Yes. It's a great problem.
Any questions? If not, Mr. Chairman, I would move for approval of item 1097 as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Jenny, please call the vote.
Mr. Berry?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Love?
Yes.
Mr. Titsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Thank you. And item number 1098, Ms. Patterson.
Good morning, Chairman Jones, Chairman, and authority members. Submitted for your consideration and approval is the payment register for June 1st through June 30th.
Were there any questions? And if not, I would ask for, I'd move for approval of item number 1098, the payment register for the month of June as presented.
Second motion.
We have a motion and a second. Jenny, please call the vote.
Mr. Berry?
Yes.
Mr. Cohn?
Yes.
Mr. Love?
Yes.
Mr. Titsworth?
Yeah.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes. That concludes the finance items. The next items on the agenda are from the Engineering and Construction Division. Mr. Berry.
Thank you, Chairman Jones. My first item is item 1099 from the Engineering Division, which will be presented by Mr. Manhalter.
Good morning, Mr. Berry, Chairman Jones, members of the authority, Secretary Gatz. Today from the Engineering Division, we have 3 items that we are considering along with 1 informational item. Item 1099 is 1 construction contract award, contract SP 63A for cashless tolling conversion on the Turner Turnpike, including interchanges at Luther, Wellston, Chandler, Stroud, Bristow, Kellyville, Sepulpa, and the Turner Mainline Toll Plaza. Work includes the installation of conduits, pull boxes, overhead gantries, electrical service, temporary striping, and all miscellaneous work necessary for the installation and integration of the cashless tolling equipment. The project is in Oklahoma, Lincoln, and Creek County. There were 2 bidders on this project. The low bidder was Robinson Construction with a bid amount of $3,858,758.21. That low bid is 13.1% above the engineer's estimate. Engineering staff has, and the consulting engineer have reviewed this item and recommend approval.
Are there any questions for item 1099? If not, I move that we approve this item as presented.
We have a motion for approval. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Cohn. Jenny, please call the vote.
Mr. Berry?
Yes.
Mr. Cohn?
Yes.
Mr. Love?
Yes.
Mr. Titsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Manhalter, item 1100.
Yes, item 1100 is task order modification number 6 for engineering services contract for TMC 128 associated with the Stroud Service Plaza on the Turner Turnpike. This task order modification will provide additional engineering services to accommodate splitting the project into 2 separate bid packages to account for utility delays at various locations near the service plaza. Significant plan changes were needed to split out the frontage road and bridge from the original service plaza project. Work includes the redesign of traffic control, construction sequencing, grading and drainage, earthwork modeling, miscellaneous related plan changes, utility coordination, additional review meetings, and submission and bidding assistance for an additional project. The amount due under this task order modification number 6 shall not exceed $149,800 for engineering services. The revised task order amount not to exceed is $2,651,740.10. Engineering staff have reviewed this item and recommend approval.
Are there any questions for item 1100? If not, I move that we approve this item as presented.
We have a motion for approval of item number 1100. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Ms. Weber. Jenny, please call the vote.
Mr. Berry?
Yes.
Mr. Cohn?
Yes.
Mr. Love?
Yes.
Mr. Titsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Manhalter, item 1101.
The ratification of declaration of emergency and award of contract to Bill Wright Construction for emergency repairs to Bridge 31.3 near milepost 166.8 on the Turner Turnpike. Submitted for consideration and approval of the authority is a request to ratify the Executive Director's July 12th, 2023 declaration of an emergency and award of a contract to Bill Wright Construction in the amount of $169,620 to repair TPU Bridge 31.3 on the Turner Turnpike. On July 11th, 2023, TPU Bridge 31.3 was struck by an overheight vehicle. This bridge carries traffic over the Turner Turnpike to and from the City of Chandler and State Highway 18. The work will consist of removing a portion of the 2 east exterior girders and heat straightening the west exterior girder over the westbound lanes. Immediate repairs are necessary to restore the structural integrity of the bridge and to make it safe for the public traffic traveling on and below the bridge. The Executive Director's declaration of emergency and contract award to Built Right Construction was in accordance with the Public Competitive Bidding Act. Engineering staff and the consulting engineer have reviewed this item and recommend approval of the ratification and construction contract award. And just to note, this work has been done, and the bridge is back open.
I did notice it on my way up here today. Are there any questions?
I had a quick question. Refresh my memory, were we able to determine who hit this bridge?
Yes, we were. We were able to determine the person the carrier that hit it. We have a OHP report, and we'll be going through their insurance for a claim.
Okay, that's good.
I also noticed that there was quite a disparity between the two bidders, almost double, so that was kind of surprising.
I believe that's on the next
Yeah, that's-
project.
Oh, is that on the next
That's
one?
on the next project.
Well, that's for information only.
That's,
Oh, yeah, okay,
That
okay.
was
Yeah,
just
we-
happened.
Gotcha, got it.
Built Right Construction was actually working on the bridge at the time for TER 037.
Yeah.
When the bridge was struck, there were workers there present. And so through the Competitive Bidding Act, we were able to negotiate a fee with them.
are there any other questions for Mr. Manholter? If not, I move that we approve this item as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of item 1101. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Ms. Weber. Jenny, please call the vote.
Mr. Berry?
Yes.
Mr. Cone?
Yes.
Mr. Love?
Yes.
Mr. Titsworth?
Yeah.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
The next item is for information only.
OTA opened bids on contract HEB ER 013 on July 20th, 2023 for the emergency repair to TPO Bridge number 54.39 near the town of Elgin on the HEB Bailey Turnpike. There were two bidders. Built Right Construction was the low bidder in the amount of $73,347.22. This amount was 16.8% under the engineer's estimate. We do have a OHP report, and we will be going through the insurance for a claim. Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
Next items on the agenda are in the reporting section, and the first report is from Major Candidate, the Highway Patrol Report. Good morning, Major. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. Mr. Chairman, members of the authority, Secretary Gatz, Director E. Kelly. For the month of June, Turnpike troopers made 4,130 contacts. We assisted 680 motorists and investigated 102 motor vehicle collisions. Troopers worked 1,003 shifts and averaged 154 miles per shift for a total of just over 154,000 miles. We did have one fatality on the Kilpatrick Turnpike. We also had 10 criminal interdictions for the month. I've included specific information on commercial motor vehicle enforcement, aircraft traffic enforcement, toll enforcement, motorcycle enforcement, and collision reduction efforts in your reports for review. Also, just as an update, our cadets from the last academy, they've completed their first month of training, so we're still at 19. And as of yesterday, we started another patrol school, so trying to continue to beef up our numbers. And thank you again for all your continued support. I'll stand for any questions.
How many applicants are in the new class?
We had 27 show up.
Good.
Fatality report, it said, it described it as churn through barriers. What does that mean?
So what I have is the driver tried to use the emergency cut through, and they went through the barrier, and then they were struck by another vehicle. So
Okay.
very, very dangerous act to try to pull off.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Our next report is Consulting Engineering Report. Jimmy Sparks. Morning, Jimmy.
Good morning, Chairman Jones, member of the authority, Secretary Gatz. Concerning the trust required services, we are completing our new inspection data, and the final report will be presented to staff on October 1st, and that time will be kind of reprioritizing projects in there for our recommendations, as well as any new projects that we may recommend for the 5-year capital plan. In July, our engineers checked 4 overload trucks that travel the system. So we've seen that down a couple months, but we'll see if it picks back up in the upcoming months. There was one special inspection in the month of June. It was to Chandler Interchange Bridge, and repairs were addressed in contract T-ER-038. I wanted to give a little timeline here and appreciate Jeff Garter from construction for putting this together, but contract T-ER-037 was the eastbound beam replacement, where the outside beams, so they cut the deck back and replaced those beams with beams that were 6 inches shallower than what was there. The hit was on April 14th. We took bids on that, and construction began on July 10th, and it was completed in 5 nights. As Brad talked about, the next hit that was under contract T-ER-038 was on the 11th of July. And it took 6 nights to complete, and that was where they cut and replaced sections of 2 beams as well as heat straightened a third. So I tell you that because the bridge was closed down for only a total of 11 days to do those two repairs. So just good collaboration between OTA and the contracting community and efficient work. Upon the completion of contract T-ER-037, our surveyors were on site and used a 3D scanner to measure the clearances of the new bridge upon those new beam replacement. It stands now, the clearance on the eastbound side looks to be about 14 feet 9 inches, which is a net gain over the travel lanes of about 5 inches. So that side's taller. We are still limited on the westbound side. It's still low, but contract T-MC-141, throwing a lot of numbers and contracts at you, but that's the next one that will raise the entire bridge, and the plan is to do 7 inches at the in the middle, 4 inches or so at the shoulder piers, and then tie back into the abutments. So upon that, we'll get new clearances there, but that should bids should be open in about October for that one. So hopefully that addresses a lot of what we talk about seemingly month to month. Capital plan and project summary is in our monthly report, and always happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Thanks, Mr. Sparks. Appreciate it. Our next report is the trustee report. Rachel Singleton. Good morning, Rachel.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the authority. As bond trustee to the authority, all monthly debt service transfers were made for the semi-annual payments due to the bondholders as required by the trust agreement. To our knowledge, all other requirements set forth in the trust agreement has been satisfied. Questions of my report?
Any questions? Thanks, Rachel.
Always good news.
Yes.
Our next report is concerning the operating results and financial condition of OTA. Wendy Smith. Good morning, Wendy.
Hi. Chairman Jones, Secretary Gatz, members of the authority. Every month I report to you regarding revenue and expenses of the authority, which is a clear indicator of its financial health. But today I would be remiss if I didn't point out that Chairman Jones did such a terrific job in his op-ed in the Tulsa World that explains how we fit into the community. Being a part of that community is an awesome responsibility the authority takes very seriously. From assisting with storm damage in Tulsa to working with the Oklahoma Biological Survey to make adjustments to mowing schedules to protect the elephant butterfly, being a part of the community is such a priority to us. So conversion of the turnpikes to cashless tolling is equally as important access to the community. Being cashless not only provides the convenience for our customers, but also provides safety by offering the convenience of true open road tolling to non-Pike Pass customers without the risk of differing speeds as motorists pull in and out of the high-speed main line to exit and enter the cash booth areas. So item 1099 today, which was approved and awarded by you, which we appreciate, is an example of those efforts in that it authorizes the civil work that prepares for the conversion of the Turner Turnpike to cashless. As you know, in 2021, we converted the Kilpatrick Turnpike, and then in 2022, we managed to get the Kickapoo converted, the Bailey, and the Chickasaw, and the Cimarron to cashless. So then in early 2023, we finished up the Cherokee and the Creek. And the Gilcrease opened as cashless at the end of 2022. So we have a goal of converting the remaining turnpikes over time, targeted for a conversion for the end of 2024. But back to revenues and expenses. As reported in the operations report provided by the Comptroller Division, net toll revenues on the Turnpike system reported at approximately $31.6 million, or an increase of 3.4% as compared to June of 2022, with year-to-date toll revenues continuing to outpace budgeted projections. Got a little excited there, sorry, by 2.5%. Heavy truck traffic remains strong, which I think is a good indicator of our healthy national economy. And additionally, staff continued to show good fund management by holding operating expenses to 16.8% below the 2023 operating and maintenance budget. And speaking of budgets, my staff is continuing to work on the 2024 annual budget. And as you'll recall, the board approved the purchase of a new budget software in April of this year. Late last year, Dania Bridges was selected as our new budget program manager, and we added Jonna Grant to our team in June of this year. I am very excited to have this hardworking team continuing to collaborate with division managers. This process not only helps allocate responsibly the vital resources, but also facilitates communication and coordination between the division managers and executive staff to ensure that there is an understanding of the funding needs throughout the organization. As always, by late this year, you will receive a preliminary 2024 annual budget and proposed 5-year capital plan for your review and approval. And we're excited about that. So I will take any questions.
My comment is it's a great report that you continue to provide every month, and we're excited about the numbers that you present to us. Anybody else have any comment or question?
Thanks.
Thanks, Wendy. Good job. Our next report is from our director, Secretary Tim Gatz.
Mr. Chairman, board members, a couple things this morning. At first, I want to advise the board that the Supreme Court has favorably ruled on the authority's application for validation. We received that word of that earlier this morning. We have not completely read and analyzed the ruling, so we will have that ahead of us today, with a goal of making ourselves available around 2 o'clock for press availability. So wanted to report that to the board. Again, we're only beginning to evaluate the ruling, so more to come. Want to follow on with Wendy's discussion about the cashless conversion. And I want to echo some of the things that she said. Again, the contract that you approved this morning gets us started on the Turner Turnpike. And, you know, again, that's going to be one of our more challenging conversions. Traffic volumes are such, and again, the mix of traffic that we have out there with trucks and passenger vehicles is a little bit more challenging, and but the team has put together a good plan, and we're going to move forward with that. Motorists, you know, when you look at the cashless tolling, the end of this month, State Highway 351 Muskogee Turnpike is expected to go live cashless on August 29th, and that'll be between I-40 and Broken Arrow. That means the cash toll booths will be removed from the Muskogee, and motorists will, again, just as Wendy points out, have that safety and convenience of open road tolling. And again, that's been a primary concern for us in the conversion. Once the Muskogee converts to cashless, the only remaining turnpikes to move to plate pay will be the I-44 Will Rogers, I-44 Turner, and the Indian Nations. And those are all expected to be converted by the end of 2024, and we certainly believe that that goal is achievable. So I appreciate the team's work. Again, cashless tolling has been something we've been laser focused on now for several years, and we have advanced this initiative faster than I thought possible. So again, I appreciate the efforts of the team. Safety is our always #1 concern, and again, our focus has been to try to make operations within those toll plazas safer than they've been in the past. Also, I want to talk just a little bit about the non-Oklahoma tags and some of the tolling challenges that we've got out there. You may have heard some discussion around that. over the last few weeks, talking about the cashless conversion, really gives me the chance to update you, because as we have converted to cashless tolling, it has provided us with an opportunity to gain a new perspective on the challenges that we're experiencing out there in the Turnpike network. And there's really 4 categories where this occurs, due in part to, again, the removal of the cash lanes, because now we're really beginning to see what's taken place. We've always known that we had some challenges, but cashless has been what has empowered us to really analyze this at a much higher level of detail. And the types of plates we're talking about are the ones that are blocked or altered. And when you say blocked, that means there may be a vehicle pulling a trailer that obscures the plate. Maybe have mud on it. In inclement weather, sometimes snow on it. So they're just an unreadable plate. That can be a challenge. Then there's out-of-country plates. And we see plates, especially from Canada and Mexico, on the Turnpike network, and they can certainly be challenging to invoice. Out-of-state tags, we have a lot of intergovernmental cooperative agreements in place, but we still have some that are yet to be executed, and that can be a challenge for us. Dealership-issued paper plates and temporary tags, and this is a little bit of a systemic problem, not just here in Oklahoma, but across the country. And those paper plates can prove to be extremely challenging to collect. There's really no intelligence to those paper plates that allows us to understand who that vehicle belongs to. So we've got work to do there. And then the tribal tags that are not registered through Service Oklahoma. And the tribal plates, again, have presented challenges in the past, but only now are we beginning to understand the magnitude of these different types of plates that are presenting problems for us. Give you an idea of projected lost revenue for a full year, and again, I want to qualify this as estimated because, again, this is just something that we're only now beginning to work on and really understand. But about $7 million for vehicles with unregistered paper tags is our estimated annual revenue loss. About $9.8 million for those that are blocked or altered. And altered can be just somebody using a black magic marker to change a 3 to an 8 or something like that makes, again, the ability to associate that plate back to the correct owner becomes challenging. And then the unregistered tribal plates that are not registered through Service Oklahoma is about $11 million. The Choctaws and the Chickasaw tribes work through Service Oklahoma, and again, I think the thing that we want to really reinforce is, this is something that we're going to work on, and it's something that we have to work on. And part of that is outreach. We haven't had a lot of dialogue with the tribes here in the state of Oklahoma in the past related to this issue, and we're going to ramp that up. Joe's got a good plan to open some new lines of communication, start to explore what opportunities might be out there. As always, we want to, and there are so many tribal members that already run a Pike Pass, and we want to thank them for that. Because we're making some changes in how motorists can pay, we implemented on an online option on May 15th for customers to pay their tolls or register their tags with the authority. We've expanded and enhanced that now to include tribal plates, so the tribal members can get on and register their tribal plates. That was not an opportunity that existed before, and so I think that's going to be very helpful in the conversation. And between May 15th and mid-July, I think there are 33 tribes that have used the authority's Turnpike system that were running tribal tags, and that accumulated amount is about $4.5 million of unbillable toll charges. And again, this is something that we're going to work on. So I wanted the board to be aware of that. Again, we've talked about this challenge in the past, But again, with the advent of cashless tolling and an understanding now of what we're recording and where we're recording those, you know, this is something that, again, rises to the top of the list. So something will be.
But we probably don't have a percentage of that yet, do we, Joe?
It's very low at the current time, but again, only been available from May 15th. The other aspect of this is we're opening dialogue with the tribes. Joe came to the Tribal Advisory Board meeting at the last quarterly meeting and talked a little bit about this problem, and it's incumbent upon the authority to open those communication lines and do some outreach. So that's something we're working on now, and that'll continue into the future.
Because this is something that we now have data on, and it's something that is of interest to the board to see how we're progressing with this, can we add regular reports to our operating report that tracks some of these losses by category?
Absolutely, absolutely. And what I'd envision is probably to maybe ask Wendy Smith to include this in some of her presentation. I think we can work that into maybe the operations report to give a little bit of an overview, or we'll figure out what the best way to do that is, but we'll give you an update at each board meeting.
Good. And on the tribal, even if you could do it by tribe to the extent you can, that would be helpful to help us understand and narrow down where we need to put our focus also.
Yeah, and again, this is something we're only beginning to work on, and you know, I expect that we'll have a lot of really very productive dialogue with our tribal members, and it's important to us because, again, there's a change here, and I think everybody needs to recognize that, and that's the conversion to cashless tolling. So something that was a little bit obscure in the past as far as our ability to track it now becomes more clear, and this is something that is incumbent upon us to go through that process and that outreach. So, talk a little bit about safety. And our safety campaign this month is seatbelt awareness. As always, I want to place some emphasis on our year-round safety education campaign for motorists. You know, seatbelt compliance is something you've certainly heard me talk extensively about. We rank 40th in the nation for seatbelt usage, and we can clearly do better than that. More important than the ranking is the simple fact that too many of the fatalities on our highways potentially could have had a different outcome if they had only had their seatbelt on. And regularly, and estimated, 50% of Oklahoma's fatality crashes have someone not wearing a life-saving seatbelt. So again, that's something we can do better, and we'll continue to have seatbelts as a primary component of our safety campaign. We'll be reminding people as they go back to school and as activities start back up that one of the most important decisions that they can make each day is to wear their seatbelt. Also advise everybody to be mindful of school buses. We're going to start to see them back out on the streets and highways. Observe their stop signs and make sure that you're being as safe as you possibly can around the children as they go back into school. So, Mr. Chairman, at this point, I would be happy to answer any questions that the board may have of me. And again, don't know a whole lot about the validation, but we will have more information forthcoming later today.
Thank you for your report. I do have a question. I recently read an article in Wall Street Journal, I believe, and it was talking about legislation on a national level regarding truck drivers, and when they time out on their allotted time to be driving, we find a lot of trucks apparently are being forced to pull over to the side of the road where they are and stop. And it creates obviously a safety issue, ties back to what your safety comments were earlier. And my question is, I realize that we've done a lot as far as trying to provide opportunities for truckers to get off the roads and to park at various public and private opportunities, even in exits into town or whatever. But in the instances where they are limited and they can't get off the highways, my question is there anything an OTA can do that on a national approach or even a local approach state that would apply at a national level to help facilitate potentially maybe some more common sense being applied to some extension of time for truckers, or that'd be 15 minutes, just to allow them to, get off highways.
Mr. Chairman, the hours of service that are related to, the federal motor carriers and the work that they do out there is safety centric. So they're trying to understand the impact of being behind the wheel of a truck on a truck driver over a period of time and set that time period. I believe that, to your point, there needs to be additional flexibility built into that to allow the truck drivers the opportunity to make a safe decision out there to get off the shoulder, if you would. And that's something I think that will be worked on, that is being worked on, because that flexibility, I think, will be important. And again, we're extremely concerned about having a tractor trailer parked on the shoulder of any of our turnpike facilities. Too often we see those get struck from behind by someone that drifts onto the shoulder, and that can be a pretty horrible accident. So that's something we're extremely mindful of. I think from the authority standpoint, and to your point, we've done a good job of building out truck parking areas where we can. And the best example I can give you is at the Chandler Plaza, where we added 125 truck parking places. As we renovate the Hoback existing facility there at Stroud, we will add a like amount for the westbound traffic. And, we're really looking for opportunities to take advantage of that, just as we always have, to provide truckers a safe chance to get off the highway. And I think what you're talking about more is when somebody gets caught between locations, and by that hours of service limitation. And if that has become restrictive to the point that it's forcing them onto the shoulder of the highway as a result, then certainly something we need to be attentive to and supportive of providing some flexibility. So,
Thank you.
When I was driving in this morning, I've seen a lot of trucks parked in that new section where there's really, really wide shoulders. Probably not quite as risky, but this morning there were a whole bunch of them on the area where there is a narrow shoulder coming westbound. So it does definitely continue to be a serious concern.
and there may be a pattern there, and that's something we may want to explore a little bit more with Major Kennedy and talk about what they're seeing out there as far as truck drivers, because usually when you see an accumulation of trucks there, that's an indicator of something, and it could be hours of service limitation, but whatever's happening there, as wide as that shoulder is, it's still not a safe place to park and overnight or anything like that, and we certainly don't recommend it. So
There were probably 15 of them on this.
An old rest area, place there, just past that. I think I saw that here a few months ago. We had but it's closed off because we've closed off rest areas and stopped those. But isn't there one area there?
I think you.
Just past, just not too long after you get on the Turnpike?
I think you have to exit the Turnpike, but there's probably one at maybe on Kellyville or just beyond Kellyville or something, but there's, I think you have to exit.
Something there that I thought it could, I noticed this several months back, that it could be converted to a truck rest area.
Yep, and we have a couple of locations like that. I think the challenge that we have with those that have been removed or closed is, our goal is to consolidate those locations. So we replaced that truck parking when we built out Chandler, and we'll replace it, and really have replaced it, because Hoback in its current condition is only serving westbound. So therefore, we enhance the truck parking capability there. But as we widen and look to the future of the Turner Turnpike as an example, I think what you find is those areas that exist now are going to be impacted by that widening effort, and that's part of the plans that they're working through now. So again, I think our deal is that we replaced that truck parking that we took away at those locations with more at the new consolidated facilities.
Yeah, but the issue is Tulsa. Trucks in and out, unloading, come through there. There is very little truck parking at the truck stops, especially on the west end of town. So that's one reason you have trucks parking at that area, because they're on the west side. You have some truck dealerships right there, and there's very little area for truck parking. So that's why they're parking on the side of the road there.
And that's something we can look into. And again, I
And
think
electronic logs add to that, so there's a limited amount of time. I can't remember exactly what it is. You have so much flexibility in the electronic log that you have to do that. So that's why they're doing that there, because there's not hardly any truck parking on that end of town.
and we can do some work around, you know, what we don't want is truckers parking on the shoulder as a matter of convenience, you know, which I think occurs sometimes. What we would rather have is adequate truck parking opportunities, and to your point, Mr. Titsworth, if there's something that, you know, we have as a challenge on the west side of Tulsa, we need to open some dialogue maybe with our private sector partners and start to talk about that. Because that's a challenge not just for the Turnpike Authority, but certainly for our commercial vehicle operators, so.
Well, and again, my point was more related to, I think it's all tied together, obviously, but my point was to, you know, if we need to write letters to our local senators and congressmen that represent us nationally, because that's where obviously it's going to end up, whatever we can do to help, that was my comment, that if there's something we can do that, you know, pushes the conversation forward about them having a little bit more, you know, time on their electronic logs and things, about common sense, about giving them an opportunity to get off the highway, I think it benefits all of us.
Yeah, and that's something we can dig into a little bit deeper with our OHP partners and talk with their size and weights and commercial vehicle operator units, and you know, gain a little bit better insight into what exactly is going on, and if there is something that we can do to provide a greater level of flexibility, then that's, and we'll bring you a report back, Mr. Chairman.
Good, thank you. Anything else? Thank you, Secretary
Thank you.
Gates. That concludes our agenda items this morning. I ask for a motion for adjournment of this meeting to our next meeting scheduled for Tuesday, September 12th, 2023 at 10 a.m.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Thanks, Ms. Weber. Jenny, please call the vote.
Mr. Barry?
Yes.
Mr. Cohn?
Yes.
Mr. Love?
Yes.
Mr. Titsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes, we're adjourned.